Self-aware millennial.
Happy December! Welcome to another episode of the Self-Aware Millennial. I am your host, J.Mix. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm so excited that it's December because December is my birthday month. I'll be making the beautiful 29 in about 2 weeks, and I'm ready to party it up. Hopefully, I'm supposed to be having a little skate get together. If you got the invitation, then you're invited. If you didn't, then you can still come, but you probably have to figure out where it is. Anyway, I hope y'all doing well. We're gonna get started. Start some announcements right quick because first off, this is a very pivotal month, I would say, because we're almost a year in for the podcast. We started back in February, and I was looking at the Spotify Wrapped for Spotify for podcasters, and like this podcast has gotten to like 18 countries, and I've had like almost 3,000 minutes worth of content for y'all to check out. So I feel humbled that I've been doing all this work to get this out to y'all, and I hope that your self-awareness has been enlightened since I started this podcast almost a year ago. And if you love this podcast, please give it 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. I said Apple Podcasts. Apple Podcasts. And also make sure that you check out my YouTube because, you know, facial expressions matter. But also, as you will notice, I tried some new things this week, and I would love your feedback. I took out the intro song to the podcast because we've had some conversations. I actually have a team now. And they were like, let's try without the song. The song is, it kind of like, I guess it's, I mean, obviously I made the song, but I think there could be another way to give this podcast like its feel, but in a different genre of songing. I haven't figured out that just yet, and I may not even need a song, which is fine. I mean, I might use it at the end, but I'm still thinking about this. This is me talking out loud like I always do. But yeah, this is also my podcast, so I can always make a new one because I can. And y'all know me, I'm always just playing around with songs and just seeing what y'all think about it. And I really enjoy your feedback. So anyway, my next announcement is I did a giveaway, my first giveaway ever for the Self-Aware Millennial. I was feeling like in a giving mood. It was I think it was this past Saturday. It was Small Business Saturday. And because Self-Aware Millennial is a small business, I was like, okay, well, I don't really have anything to sell y'all yet, y'all, because there will be merch coming. There will be merch, and I'm really excited. I've been thinking about it. It's all in my head. We just have to get it all laid out and figured out, but there will be merch coming. But anyway, I had a giveaway for A.W.A.R.E causes. And if you haven't heard what A.W.A.R.E causes is, A.W.A.R.E is a jewelry line that raises awareness for a bunch of causes. If you've seen the pictures of me with the teal necklace, it's like triangle shaped. It's representing, the color is PTSD because I suffered through a lot of PTSD throughout my childhood. And I also bought some black and white earrings that are also triangle shaped. And that actually represents anti-racism. So if you want, you can go to the website, go to my link tree on my bio, and you can click on A.W.A.R.E causes, and then make sure that you select Self-Aware 20 to get 20% off of your order. Now, if y'all do that, I would love you forever. But if you don't, I understand. Like, it's going to be there, and I'm going to keep saying this for the next couple of episodes so that y'all know, because honestly, I really like this necklace, y'all. It's really pretty. It's like gold, and I love gold. Gold and teal are like my 2 favorite colors together. And I don't know. I feel like I'm probably going to get some more. And shout out to Ashley and Brian for winning this past giveaway. They're both going to receive their own A.W.A.R.E cause necklaces, and I just feel happy that I am representing a brand that is basically the podcast version of what I do. So I'm sorry, not the podcast version, it's the jewelry version of what I do. All right, so also y'all, just to give y'all a heads up, in the next couple of weeks I'll be talking to the educators here in New Orleans, but also elsewhere around the country, and I'm going to be talking about their challenges with teaching during COVID-19. I'm currently gathering testimonials for educators and students on what some of the biggest adjustments and frustrations have been this year. across most of the country school system. So I know here in New Orleans is definitely different than even just in JP. So I want to hear from as many people as possible what it's been like for you. And if you have any questions or you want to chime in, email the selfawaremillennial@gmail.com, and we will make sure that we have a little chit chat before we start this episode. It'll be premiering in about 2 weeks. And also, this is my last announcement before we get started and actually formally introduce our guest. I want to give a quick thank you to everybody for all of your supportive messages that I have received from you this past week. So this past week, there was a surprise of events that just came up all of a sudden. I was just scrolling through. Actually, no, this is what happened. The World War II Museum had sent like one of those Facebook invites, or like Facebook did some sort of suggestion situation where they were like, oh, you might like this Victory Bells event coming up. And I looked at it and I was like, that's the picture that I'm in, but I wasn't there. They had cropped me out of the picture. It used to be, so to give context, this show that I had done was my first Christmas show at the World War II Museum. And this is the first time that they ever had 4 bells. Normally with the Victory Bells, they show them in 3s. And this was the first time that they did 4 bells. And in the layout of the picture, I'm like on the far side, and they just basically cut me out and kept the other 3 girls. And that basically just like, not that it was a big damper, like, cause I'm just like, I know the museum's trying to be petty right now because they already know I'm like over everything that's going on with the Dismantle National World War II Museum page, as I've been saying for the last couple of episodes. Actually, no, I've been saying this since June. So like, y'all have been listening to this for like probably the last 15 episodes of me just talking about the museum and what they've been up to and what I've been up to, trying to hold them accountable and call out their racism. But they specifically, adamantly cropped me out of the picture that we were all in, and I raised hell about it online, and I've had a lot of support from all of you, and I just want to thank you once more for doing that, because it really means a lot to me. I know it may not mean much, I guess, to the museum, but for me it means a lot, so I really appreciate it. Keep raising awareness about it. This is basically racism in 2020. This is literal racism in 2020. And I feel like the museum is just getting away with it almost scot-free because they can. And we'll talk about that another time. I'm actually thinking about talking a little bit more about this on my Patreon the next couple of weeks, because I need to do a full year in review and just give y'all the updates on like everything that I was not even able to fully talk about on this platform. Okay, that was a lot of announcements. But I'm here for it. I'm also drinking eggnog, so I'm like not lit, but like I'm good. I'm feeling good right now. All right, cool. So our guest today is Chloe Marie. Now, Chloe, I want to know, because I know you through, I think, Haley, who was my guest a couple of weeks ago. And I know she was just like, you should get Chloe on. Chloe's going to be great. And I started talking to you, and I was like, oh yeah, we got to talk about, like, because you had given me some ideas of what you wanted to speak about. So before we get into it, who are you? What do you do? Like, what are you about? Tell the audience.
Who am I? I'm Jean Valjean. So obviously from my answer,
oh my gosh.
Let me stop. It's too early in the podcast for this.
Throwback for me.
Obviously, from that incredibly cheesy answer, I am a theater actor. I am a musician. I'm, as of this year, an arts administrator. I serve on the board at Theater Baton Rouge. I've been a professional musician for over 8 years now, and it's my primary station in life. So yeah, I guess Chloe Marie is just an overall art hoe. I could say that. Art hoe.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I love that. Gosh, that's I like that aesthetic.
Also, shout out Haley. I love her. That's my girl.
Yeah, shout out to Haley. Like, I was supposed to the episode that we did was supposed to be a Patreon episode, and I was just like, I didn't have time to do an episode for like my regular platform. And she like took the reins and she was like, well, let's go. Cause I mean, it was wonderful though. Like we just kind of had to tone it down just a little bit, but it was great.
That was toned down?
Yeah, it was toned down.
I loved it. I really did
if you get on my Patreon, we just go ham about everything.
Okay.
But it's fine. No, yeah, we'll get you on there. How about that?
Okay.
So you're, I know, cause so funny thing was I was listening to your spot. I was on Spotify and I was listening to your songs earlier today, just to get a feel. And I really like your vibe. I really like the way that it sounds. So you have a really pretty voice. I wanted to know. Wait, so you're in Baton Rouge, right?
No, I actually live in New Orleans now.
Oh, okay.
I'm from Baton Rouge, but I live in New Orleans.
Okay, all right. Mm-hmm. I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, y'all, so Chloe's here, I'm here, you're here, and I want to get into this next segment because, and this is also, funny enough, this next segment is new, as y'all, I think we premiered the last 2 episodes. It's called Fazed or Unfazed. It's the newest segment that we're doing right now where we reflect, let me say that again. Fazed or Unfazed. It's not the eggnog, I promise. Okay, so it's called Fazed or Unfazed. It's the newest segment where we reflect on current event news that make folks uncomfortably phased or uncomfortably unfazed. Now, last couple of days, this past week, Elliot Page came out as transgender. And they were formerly known as Ellen Page, who got their start as the pregnant protagonist on Juno. If y'all ever watched that movie, it's basically like the 16 and Pregnant movie before 16 and Pregnant came out with the movie. Didn't they come out with a movie? 16 and Pregnant?
Did they?
I thought they did. Or maybe it's just like this really big special. I don't remember. All I know is that this came out around the time where like we were just watching a whole bunch of 16 and Pregnant situations. And basically, formerly Ellen Page was in that. And also Elliot, now recently they played Vanya on the new hit Netflix show, The Umbrella Academy. I love that show so much. I can't wait for them to have I think it's season 3. I think that's supposed to come out soon, or maybe it's 2. I think it's 3. I don't know. But I wanted to just kind of talk about that a little bit because this kind of goes into what we were kind of talking about last week with Marlo. And, Elliot now having to change their pronouns, but like changing their pronouns to something that's a lot more identifiable with who they are as a person. And I love how it kind of all ties in. And I kind of just want to give y'all an excerpt about what Elliot said recently, because I think they would be able to describe it better than I can. And this is probably going to make it a little bit more humanized for some people that are still trying to grasp the understanding of what this means, not just for Elliot, but for us as people, and trying to evolve and understand when people decide or they finally are brave enough to come out and be who they've always wanted to be or feel more in their element. So this is what Elliot said. They said, I ask for patience. My joy is real, but it is also fragile. The truth is, despite feeling profoundly happy right now and knowing how much privilege I carry, I'm also scared. I'm scared of the invasiveness, the hate, the jokes, and of violence. To be clear, I am not trying to dampen a moment that is joyous and one that I celebrate, but I want to address the full picture. The statistics are staggering. The discrimination towards trans people is rife, insidious, and cruel, resulting in horrific consequences. In 2020 alone, it has been reported that at least 40 transgender people have been murdered, the majority of which were Black and Latinx trans women. The political leaders who work to criminalize trans health care and deny our rights to exist, and to all those with a massive platform who continue to spew hostility towards the trans community, you have blood on your hands. You unleash a fury of vile and demeaning rage that lands on the shoulders of the trans community, a community in which 40% of trans adults report attempting suicide. Enough is enough. You aren't being canceled. You aren't being canceled. You are hurting people. I am one of those people, and we won't be silent in the face of your attacks. I wanted to highlight that paragraph in particular, just to kind of show the understanding of the seriousness of this all, because I feel like a lot of people, when they hear someone comes out as transgender, or they're not sure about, you know, like what they are, I should say, like that's when the people themselves that are giving them a hard time are basically the uncomfortable ones. Mm-hmm. And it's very funny when you realize like there's a lot of people that they live in the norm, they live and they don't understand from another person's standpoint, like just what they're going through. And because let's maybe say their sexual orientation is the standard, they don't have to necessarily think about it. But Chloe, what are your thoughts on this? And yeah, tell me how you feel about this news.
Well, first of all, when I got on Twitter, which is where I get all my news, I got on Twitter and I saw that Elliot Page was trending, and I was like, I don't know who that is, but I see what's trending, and I clicked and I said, my boo. And I was just overcome with joy about it, because so I remember when Juno came out, I had the biggest crush on them. Like I really did.
Yeah.
And I just always kind of, around the time that film came out, I also was kind of discovering my own, like my queerness, and just kind of trying to figure out like, I'm experiencing attraction to this person who is someone I'm assuming is the same gender as me, you know. It was just, I was going through a lot of like self-discovery, and Elliot Page is one of my biggest crushes. And so, so I was like, I don't know, it was just so cool to see this, like, oh, fam, like you're fam.
Yeah.
I'm happy that he's living his full truth and felt at least somewhat safe enough in his own position in life.
Yeah.
To come out and to fully live in a fully actualized way. I think that's so beautiful. So I'm really happy for them.
Awesome. So do you okay, because I mean, obviously this is just a news segment of mine, and I want to know, like, does it leave you phased or unfazed?
Oh, I'm so phased because I feel a lot of things.
Phased in a good way.
Yeah, like positively phased.
Yeah.
I can't say that I'm unfazed because I do care.
I do. But you could be unfazed of the fact that like they're finally living in their truth, if you think about it.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like, okay, this makes sense and I'm here for it. I'm unfazed for that reason, but I'm also very phased because I'm really happy about it. I don't know. It's like,
no, you just said it perfectly. All of that.
No, because
exactly where I am.
That's precisely how I feel as well.
Yes.
I'm very happy for Elliot, and I wish him the best. And I think the only thing I'm worried, not worried, but one thing I'm wondering is if Elliot will probably not change their pronouns for the show, like when they play Vanya, because I mean that was kind of set in stone. But I wonder how they're gonna do. Like if they'll even do anything about that. I don't know.
Probably not. I mean, you know, as actors, we adapt all the time anyway. At the end of the day, he's still just playing a character, but
exactly,
you know.
Yeah. Well, we shall see. I'm excited. I'm excited for Umbrella Academy. I'm
gonna have to check that out. I've never seen
You've never watched it? Oh my gosh. It is so good.
I don't know why. Have you ever seen the show Misfits?
Yes, I've seen
Misfits. I
don't
know why when I hear Umbrella Academy, I just assume it's Misfits. Like
because one of the actors was on Misfits. It was.
Oh wait, maybe that's why. Maybe I do have some type of knowledge about this after all.
Robert Sheehan. Oh, he's so fine. He's so fine. Okay. Robert Sheehan's the one with the curly hair.
Oh, the funny boy, the funny one.
But okay, he plays he's one of the siblings in Umbrella Academy. It's so good. You have to watch it.
I had zero. I was really wondering, like, I don't know why I connect those two shows for some reason in my head, and I do like Misfits. I don't know.
Misfits is so good. I want to go rewatch it because I forgot. Oh God, those were the days.
Back in the days when I was watching Misfits and Skins.
Yes, me too.
Back then.
Skins. Oh, I feel like I wish there was a way for me to like. Can you still watch it? Like, is it on like a streaming service?
I think probably.
Oh, I hope so. I need to check it out. Oh God, I watched every single episode.
That would be so...
I've got to watch that again. Like, I would just live my whole teenage life once more. That was
Were they supposed to be in high school? Like, I was always confused about how the education system and
how it worked in the UK.
Yes.
I know.
Because of that show, I was like, wait, they're in high school, but they're doing all this and this.
But they're fucking their teachers, and I think it's fine. You're right.
Like, what is this, university or what? I'm confused.
I know. No, I said the same thing, but I was just like, okay, because this is funny, because like then you watch American shows like Pretty Little Liars and what's her face, like her having the thing with her teacher and it being like this big scandalous thing. And I'm like, did y'all not watch Skins? Like this happens like every other episode.
These kids were doing all kind of stuff.
But anyway, sorry to go sidetrack y'all, but I hope y'all kind of went down memory lane like I just did. Let's get to our next segment because I got a bunch of segments today. Actually, I don't. This is probably like my last like big one. But as y'all know, PonyTales is another wonderful segment that I love to kind of ice break things down. But PonyTales with the tails spelled T-L-L. I can't spell tails today. Tails. PonyTales spelled T-A-L-E-S is a fun segment where I ask my guests to tell a tale with a ponytail in their head. And look, Chloe is getting their hair ready.
You have to be traditional. This is really
but I give the name of the topic. Oh yes, I love it. I already have my ponytail in today, thankfully, and that never happens. But anyway, I basically give the name of the topic and then we both tell our tale, our ponytail. So if y'all have a ponytail that you'd like to share, you want to just play along, feel free to email me as again, the self-aware millennial at gmail.com. Not at gmail.com, but you know what I mean, at gmail.com. All right. So the ponytail topic today is going to be I cannot speak today. Most poignant form of childhood discipline that you've ever received from an adult, whether it was a family member or a stranger. Now, I have talked about a few of my instances of being disciplined as a child, and I wanted to talk about this ponytails in particular because of what we're going to be going into for our main topic. But for me, I think I talked about already on episode 7, I talked about my experience when I was getting basically beat at my sister's graduation party. So I don't think I have to talk about that one anymore. But I'm trying to think of another poignant one that I've had. Oh, this was one. This was not nearly as bad, I don't think. But I also remember. So, okay, this is dumb, but whatever. We're going to go with it. So basically, I was a big school person. I loved going to school because I got to be around kids and I got to do X, Y, and Z. And like the beginning, like the back to school feeling, like the vibe of back to school, like it just got me in the mood. And so like my elementary school in particular, we had like a book fair situation that happened before school started, like a week, maybe 2 weeks before school started, where like we basically went to the school and they kind of like got their books and stuff or whatever ready for the beginning of the year. And like just kind of, it was like a registration. I can't remember the full details. Anyway, I forget. I think it's called Book Day or something or whatever. Anyway, so I was like looking forward to it. I was like, I'm so excited to go to Book Day. I was probably like, I was a little old. I was like 9, maybe 10 years old at this point, but I was excited. I was always looking forward to it. And I remember being really upset because something happened and we weren't able to go. And I caught a fit. Like I was just really upset. And my mom, I remember this is the only time she's ever slapped me in the face, but she slapped me in the face. And I was like, that's the one form of discipline where I'll never forget it. And I realized I felt like I deserved it. And that never happens. Like usually I'm like disciplined. I don't deserve any of this, but like my mom slapped me and it kind of slapped me back. I was like, oh, I'm dumb for doing this. I'm dumb for like wanting to go to Book Day. I'm going to see all these people in the next couple of days. Like I don't have to be this extra. Now looking back on it, I'm like, yeah, I'm glad I got slapped. Thank you, Mom. So that's my ponytail. What's your ponytail?
Wow. Okay, so I thought that I didn't have one just because, like I told you, I was pretty well behaved. I didn't get in trouble a lot. But I, from the depths, pulled a memory. And it's not even like, honestly, I didn't even really get in trouble, but I was, I don't know, a very, very curious child. Like growing up, the only child, I had I was the only kid around a bunch of adults, so I had nothing but time to just get into stuff and discover things. So I had this doll, this Barbie doll. I think I couldn't have been any older than 8. I had this Barbie doll, and for some reason, I just really wanted to cut her hair. So I cut her hair, and it looked bad. But for some reason, I said, oh, I'm going to do that to my hair. And I had just gotten my hair braided. I remember that. And when I was a kid, I hated having braids. So I know it was low-key a little sneaky too, but whatever. So I was like, oh, well, I just cut my Barbie doll's hair. Let me cut a couple braids off. So I cut my hair as a small child. I was staying with my babysitter at the time, who was my mom's godmother. So it was just me and her, and she was this very old woman, and I definitely took advantage of her being really old. She was just could not handle me. So there I am cutting my hair, and my mom comes to pick me up, flips out when she sees my hair. But instead of, like, she doesn't spank me, doesn't do anything. She just looks at me and goes, whatever, we're just gonna cut it all off. And as a kid, I was just like, you're gonna cut it all off? She didn't. But just to me, that was just so like,
that's
gut
fearful.
wrenching.
Yeah.
Like, she didn't hit me, I didn't get punished, nothing actually happened, but I felt very disciplined by her just threatening that it was all gonna get cut off. But then fast forward like to my sophomore year of high school, and I shaved my head anyway, so I mean, it was well just let her.
Oh man, no, well, I think the shortest I've ever cut my hair was back in 2012 when I went natural. I had like about 3 months of hair growth when I cut it. And it was just a cute little baby. Like, oh God, I kind of want to do it again, but I'll see about it.
A big chop?
Another big chop, maybe.
Ooh.
At some point. I don't know. I'm not sure. I did it so that I can get my hair back into its natural state, because I was getting perms from like age 3-4 years old till I was like 21, 22.
Which, are those banned yet? Please.
Perms? Oh, I don't think so. My older sister still gets them, I think. And I'm like,
I'm sorry, I'm not a perm fan.
I'm not either. I never liked them, and like I just thought like it was the norm. Like I grew up with it, and like everyone else grew up with it.
Same.
So now I know that I could still get a really nice laid. My hair can get laid and pressed and still look like everybody else's when they're permed, but like my hair isn't going to be damaged. It's not going to be falling out. So I love protective styles though. Right now, like same. I will wear a protective style till I feel like taking this out for like a day or so and like actually like wearing it in its essence. But
you did that yourself, huh?
I did, yeah. I forgot. No, it actually okay. So it took me about 6 hours, but it was honestly like this has been lasting me a long time. And the great thing about this is like it's very distressed. So like if anything messes up, like you don't know, because everything, like every little strand is distressed and you can't tell. And I'm gonna try to keep these in. I might try to keep these in until the end of the year, maybe going into next year. I've had them in for about a month now. And all I normally do is like, I'll like clean my scalp situation just to like make sure like none of that's like the product buildup. But other than that, I mean, I'm good. Like I love it, and I will definitely like. That's another thing. And I've been saying this. And I think I mentioned this like the last couple of episodes, but not being a Victory Belle anymore, I'm so happy because I can now wear protective styles like 24/7, which means that my hair is gonna grow. It's gonna be down my.
How did you have to style your hair for that? So you had to? Did you wear wigs, or you just had to go?
I never wore a wig. I had to get my hair done. I did my own hair.
Did they pay for that?
No. Not at all. I did my taxes. I would like put it towards my taxes.
Okay.
Yeah, because no. But it was I liked doing my hair for the Bells. Like it was one of those things where they tried to be very authentic to the period, and that's why they didn't want us to wear wigs. But also I didn't feel like putting a wig on. Like I'm just not a wig person for the most part. I guess I might start getting into it, but I'm just more like protective styles, or I can do my own hair, make it look like a wig. I don't know. But like I love my hair and just the different like my versatility that I have. That I don't necessarily feel like I need a wig to accomplish that. Sorry, I'm dying.
It's the eggnog, y'all.
It's the eggnog. Oh gosh. But yeah, so yeah, no, I love my hair the way it is. I'm really enjoying these distressed butterfly locks, and I would recommend them to everybody. So, and that took me 6 hours, and I mean I've literally had these in for like a whole month now. Like it's worth it. 6 hours versus a month.
Child, the
Versus,
patience.
yeah, the patience is good. Like it's fine though. Like I think I would probably be able to do it a lot quicker now that I know what I'm doing. Just
Yeah.
crochet and wrap it. Anyway, let's get into our next segment. We got to segue because the reason why we talked about these ponytail topics right quick was just to kind of go into what our main topic is going to be, which is going to basically be, well, we're going to start with a quick chat about just mental health issues in the Black family structure first, and then we're going to go into us both being like Black creatives and how it relates to Black trauma and everything that we deal with that in, like, because I do feel, at least me personally, there's a lot of escape in art and just being creative that I feel like Black artists particularly use to combat what they're possibly dealing with at home and just within the structure of being a Black, for us, Black femmes,
Yeah.
but just Black people in general using art as a means of escape, as a means of trying to figure out what their own traumas are, because some of them don't even know what it is. But first, let's kind of do a quick chat just quickly about the Black family structure as a whole. So what are some common mental health tropes that we can think of that we've experienced with family members or ourselves that may have never been diagnosed by a professional? So I'm going to give some examples that I know in my own family that I have seen that I didn't necessarily know at the time of what's going on, but now that I'm older, I know, or at least like I can kind of diagnose it just because of what I know about it, but I could be wrong. Like, do not quote me. My grandma she was very, very particular about how things were set, how things were done. If you did something wrong, the way you like clean certain things up, like she would get on you and just be really upset if you don't do a certain way, because she wanted everything like her way. I thought for sure, which she has never been diagnosed with it, but I'm sure she had OCD, which is fine. OCD is a thing, and that's fine. My dad, I get a lot of my traits from him. I think he definitely has anxiety, because in the way his anxiety like manifests, however, is just before something even happens, like he's already really upset or like acting out, kind of like beating someone to the punch, even though that punch may not ever happen, or like you just think something's going to happen, so you're already preparing yourself for what's to come, even if it doesn't actually come. So that's what he has. He definitely has anxiety, but he obviously has not been like diagnosed for it. And we'll talk about that at another point too, just Black men and not wanting to go to the doctor about mental health. We'll get to that. So those are like my two. I know there's also a lot of emotional and physical abuse that also stems from situations like having anxiety and depression. But do you find that there's any other like structures within the Black family that are very common?
I mean, absolutely. I feel like, I don't know, I feel like depression specifically within Black families is something that is either not acknowledged or denied as something that could be real, because I feel like with the position that Black people hold in the world, this country, the world, there are a lot of external factors that contribute to our endangerment and lack of safety and lack of emotional security, financial security. There are just a lot of external things against us.
Yeah.
And so I feel like a lot of times at home, it's like within the Black family structure, like depression, what are you depressed about? Like, there's so many things out there in the world that are coming for us, and you're just like, sad for no reason. You know, it just kind of, I feel like a lot of times things are swept under the rug like that. Like depression's not something that can be real because you see the kind of things we already had to deal with, which is of course so inaccurate. But I feel like I definitely see it a lot in my family. And I feel like Black people specifically Black Americans have such a unique relationship with religion. And I personally have seen, not in my own family, but in the families of really close friends, things that might normally be considered schizophrenia, but because of the denial of mental health issues, it's looked at as sometimes spiritual sickness or, things like that. Versus you're like, oh, this person is just, they're not right with God, so that's why they're like this. Whereas this person has actual issues. This person needs help.
Yep.
This person needs care,
Yeah.
Like that's really, I've definitely run into that multiple times where it's like, okay, this person is considered a prophet in the church, but they have some untapped mental things, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's just kind of what I've seen growing up in a family that was on one side really religious, on the other side not really. There's
I mean, yeah, for every person it's different. And I mean, like, obviously we're just two people. There's plenty of other people that could probably come in here and be like, yeah, like that happened to me too. And, we'll have a whole plethora of different common mental health issues that we've all experienced that we may not even realize it until someone else brings it up. But I wanted to quickly talk about an article that I actually found in Psychiatric Times that kind of lays this out a little bit better for our listeners. So it says Black individuals with pre-existing mental illness are among the most vulnerable for a bunch of reasons, including greater chances that they are living in poverty and population dense conditions, or are homeless or incarcerated. Not only do they experience stigma and marginalization related to their mental illness, but also bias and discrimination related to race and class. Further compounding the pandemic stressors, like what we are in still right now, the pandemic stressors are the well-publicized and distressing police brutality incidents that have sparked emotionally charged national protests and a collective outcry against racism and inequality. Hello, I was literally just at one of the functions. Anyway, distress is also increased by fears of getting infected, particularly as Black Americans and their families are highly represented amongst essential workers right now and have suffered more deaths of family and community members overall. They continue to face the highest risk of exposure, whether through their work in healthcare and other essential services, their greater use of public transportation to get to work, or in their homes. And in recent surveys, Black people are 3 times as likely to know someone who has died from COVID-19 than white people. So in that situation, I mean, obviously this is not rocket science for Black people, obviously, because we literally live in it and we know people that have literally died, people that we personally know that are passing away. And I mean, to know that our population and I don't really think this, how they're saying like there's only about 10% of Black people in the country or something like that, like something around the 10%. I really don't think that. I think they're not including the mass incarcerated people that are in jail.
Absolutely.
Because I feel like if that were the case, we'd probably be closer to 40%.
Right.
But we're going to get to that on another point. Y'all should definitely check out 13th on Netflix, by the way. But I will put that article in the show notes so that y'all can read it. And definitely marinate in it. Talk to your friends about it. And if you are going to be with family socially distanced for Christmas, maybe have a conversation over the dinner table about it. So let's talk about being Black creatives, creative to creative, artist to artist, and how our art and things that how we have communicated our mental health. Or not communicated, I should say how our mental health has manifested itself in the healing process of what we do as artists. So I feel like many Black artists can empathize with using their art as a means to escape the generational trauma of their family legacy. And this is just something I wrote in. I wanted to make sure my Black artists knew. So I said, dear Black artists, Dear Black artists, just because you are Black does not mean all of your art has to reflect Black issues or Black trauma. And your
Thank
worth as
you.
an artist should not be connected to the fact that you are Black always, period. You should just have art out there that is literally just that. It doesn't have to be connected to that. I mean, sure, if you want to, fine. But like, you should not just be getting notability from other people just because your art is bliggity bliggity Black, which is not bad. It's not
Mhm.
bad, but it's like that's not your necessarily your. You don't have to just depend on that to be successful. You can be
Yes.
imaginative. You can go outside the box. I mean, look at Lovecraft Country, y'all. Look at what they did. Lovecraft Country is a great example of that, going above and beyond the norms of what we see as what Black people are capable of in regards to just art in general.
Yeah.
So, Chloe,
I
how?
definitely.
Yeah. How do you view
Oh,
art? No. Go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say I definitely I'm 100% with you on that. And I also that's something that I started paying attention to as far as like theaters and their announcements when over the summer, all businesses, organizations, corporations that were being pressured, to make a statement. Black Lives Matter, like choose a side, basically, is where we're at. And one thing that I was just getting so frustrated with was seeing over and over again theaters specifically trying to take a stance like, okay, yeah, we've been unequitable, we haven't been fair, we're going to try to include everybody, and then everything that they want to do is Black trauma focused. It's like, okay, now you want to include Black people, but everything you want to see from us is about our trauma, and that's not how it has to be. Like, Black people are not a monolith. We are not solely rooted in our negative experiences. Like, we have so many things to offer as artists and creatives that it sucks to be pigeonholed like that, and it sucks that it seems not to garner as much. Oops, sorry. Seems like it doesn't garner as much attention unless you're talking about being Black and sad,
Right.
and that's not always your condition. And of course, it is reasonable to be Black and sad, absolutely. And if you want to make art about that, that is a-okay. But it's completely unreasonable to expect that every single work of great Black creativeness is going to be talking about our pain. No, sometimes I want to be like Jill Scott talking about getting bent over the stove cooking grits.
Hey!
I'm not always trying to be talking about how sad I am.
Right.
Sometimes I do. But, and I feel like personally, a lot of my music that I write doesn't even end up being about my personal emotional issues or traumas or mental things that I've experienced. A lot of times it's me working through those issues in the form of talking about something else, honestly. Because a lot of times when I write, I sit and I do just stream of consciousness. And whether or not the words I'm saying are related to my trauma has nothing to do with whether or not that's actually what I'm expressing at the moment. Like, a lot of times I just you have pain in the form of a song inside you, and it doesn't matter how you get it out, it just has to come out. It's kind of how I look at my writing process. If that makes sense. I don't know.
Yeah, it kind of does. And do you find when you're writing, do you normally feel before you write, or do you write before you feel, if that makes sense?
Honestly, yeah, usually I feel before I write, unless I have something specific to write for. If I'm like, oh, my band is going to have practice and we all want to come to practice with a couple of new ideas, then I'll sit there with the intention to call upon something, conjure up whatever feeling I have. But for the most part, there's enough things that happen to me on the daily and enough thoughts that run through my head and enough past experiences I can pull from that I already have something in me that I'm feeling, and I already have something that I need to say that's just kind of like knocking and waiting on its turn to come out, basically.
Yeah. I'm thinking about something at the moment, and I think this is actually really important to just marinate with, now that thankfully, like, we both, like, we're in New Orleans, we live in New Orleans, we're literally in the birthplace of jazz, and just how that all came about. Obviously our people started jazz, which is great. And I just think about, like, the stuff that we have gone through as a people throughout these last centuries, the last couple of centuries, and how jazz came about. And I think about like the healing processes of just creating music in the Black culture. Like we literally do it to help us feel better about our conditions, our situations. And that's why it resonates with so many more people than it like other races or cultures, because we're the ones that are literally dealing with a bunch that we have to make music that's going to heal. And so it speaks to more people, because when people are going through a rough time, or they don't even realize that they are missing something, like they will turn to Black music. I mean, we literally, so the church I go to, they literally have Norwegian people that love to come to New Orleans or just anywhere that has a gospel choir, just so they can listen to a gospel choir. And it's just, there are people that are literally, and like, especially when like Black people go across seas, oh my gosh, like Germany, they love Black people over there. They love it because of the difference of like the way that the style. I can't even completely give you like the full on, like, cause I'd have to bring a German person on this podcast, or like talk to somebody who has a lot of roots in Germany, but like they love Black anything over there. And they do treat them better, apparently, from what I've heard, which is why I've always been wanting to like do like gigs and different contracts over there, because they were like, you can make bank over there as an artist, because they treat especially their Black actors and artists, singers so well. So if I end up doing like a little cruise, if I end up doing like a little cruise contract or something in the future, I'm definitely making sure that the space is going to be out there in that situation of the world. Just
Black people just put so much. I just feel like we have such a uniqueness that we bring to everything we create, because I don't know, there's no joy like Black joy, because we have been through the depths of hell pretty much. So there's just a level of joy that is not, I honestly don't believe is available to people who haven't reached the bottom that, our people have. Like there is something so powerful and spiritual and almost like ritualistic in just the magic of how we create, and the magic of, and how contagious and infectious everything that we as a people do. Like everybody wants a piece of it, because no one really knows what it's like to come from where we came from.
Yeah.
It's like this unattainable joy that we have, because we know what it's like to be low. Like when we're high, we're high.
And it's organic. It's organic too.
Contagious, yeah.
And because you know what it feels like to be low.
Exactly.
So when you're high, it's like, oh, I know how it's like to be down there, and I understand where I am now, so I can really relish in it and tell the world, and like just have that big contrast. But as Black artists, as Black creatives, because we do fall into that category where like people that are unfortunately like giving us that leverage, that notoriety sometimes, that only want to see us, like you said earlier, kind of like relish or like talk about like our Black struggles and everything to like make us money, which I don't even enjoy that. But how do you think we can use our art to heal others? Because I mean, we're still doing it. We're doing it no matter whether we realize it or not, whether we are burnt out, whether we are going through something traumatic or not. But how can we do it without burning ourselves out? Because I think that is because we still have a big stigma in the Black community about mental health. We can be burning ourselves out and not realize it. And people like to just kind of couple that to being like grind culture. Oh, you need to be busy. You need to be grinding. You need to be doing X, Y, and Z. And, you know, it's fine to be busy all the time. Like, oh, this person's doing, oh, their person's getting their money. You know, like, it's fine. They can stay busy and not really have time for themselves. So how do you think we can use our art to heal others without burning ourselves out in the process so that we still have energy to keep creating, if you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. And that's a tough one because it's a really fine line. And I have not figured it out because I don't know. I feel like one of the most important things we can do to aid in that is to start by healing yourself first and start by figuring out what helps you and figuring out what ways you can, I don't know, use your experience, to just create what comes naturally to you, what makes you feel better, what helps you get to a place of peace. Because I don't know if you've ever experienced trying to get healed by somebody who is full of pain themselves, but it's just not.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work. It never works. So I think that there's not much I just don't think that you have much to offer as far as helping someone else heal without getting burnt out until you figure out how to do that for yourself. And that's very much where I am, very much trying to figure out like, how do we get past all of these things without getting burnt out, just dealing with me, just dealing with myself.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you think, I mean, I think about it, just seemed like Black art. I mean, obviously all artists in this particular situation, but I also just think about my Black artists. I mean, obviously like Rihanna has not done anything musically in a while, or I should say Beyonce does something like once every other year or something. Mm-hmm. And I wonder if they just use I wonder if it's important to have that time off so that you can generate creativity, art, when you are on. Because I mean, like, even right now for me, like, I'm finally back in that groove where like I could start creating music and it all just kind of naturally be there. But it was only after I had a time to just rest and not think about it, and it just all of a sudden came back to me. And I'll say this one other thing. I don't think I've ever mentioned this on any of the platforms that I've talked about.
Do a quick rotate. Excuse me, my computer just. Oh my gosh!
No, it's okay.
Turn. It's like drained my computer so fast. I'm sorry. Okay, here we go.
No, it's okay. I just wanted to say this right quick because this is kind of important. I never really put this on any of my platforms, but when I was in the hospital a little over 2 years ago, there was a moment in time, because when I was there, you couldn't have anything. You couldn't have your phones. They took like literally everything away from you. And there was a moment where I was still like getting used to the medication that they put me on, which was basically like a higher dosage of Zoloft. And what ended up happening was, I remember there was just this really, really, really pretty, I don't know if I was hallucinating or what, but it sounded really nice. There was like this, if you've heard of Gregorian chant, or like these masked men that sing these Gregorian chants, for some reason, while I was in that state, I think I was like partially tired, like half sleep, half not sleep. But I just remember hearing this beautiful harmonies from these imaginary men that were just literally singing in my head for like the past, I don't know, it had to have been going on for like 2 to 3 hours. From what I could remember, it felt like 2 to 3 hours of them just like singing this beautiful, and it wasn't just like one melody. It was like harmonies. I would say it was about at least four-part harmony. It was something that I, in my head, had created, and it was just living in there. I didn't have a piano or anything to like try to figure this out and like try to like replicate it. But I just kind of sat there and just sat in my bed, and I was just like, wow, this is this is so beautiful, and I wish that like I'm the only one that can experience this right now because I'm the one that created it. Was a very interesting experience. So like I think when it comes to that, like yes, I know like, and I know like, and when it comes to me, sometimes like in those moments, I'm like, oh, it's so pretty. I need to lay this down so that I can make sure that other people can hear it too, so that other people can experience it as well. But I would say not everything that you think is great has to necessarily be shown to the world. Sometimes it could just be, you can keep that to yourself, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And I think, at least for, I mean, when it comes to art and it in this healing, its healing properties in the Black community. I mean, we obviously know, like I was just talking about this earlier when I was out at canvassing with the People's Assembly, because right now we are doing we are caroling for justice. We are doing Christmas carols, and we're like caroling for just causes. And you know, we were talking about how music is the fuel of the revolution, and just the ways that people may not listen to you if you're just telling them about something, but if you sing it to them, they will listen and they will understand every single word. So like using that as a property, as a way to just, you know, just get people to understand and want to understand more. And I feel like music, thankfully, is, like they say, that universal language. So
it really is. I mean, it's the same way that people get up in arms when their favorite artists come out in a different, you know, in favor of a different political candidate or something. Like, people get really upset when they find out the personal views of their favorite artists, because it really does affect, like, music has a huge effect, and people just internalize and take things way more personally when you deliver it in a musical form, I believe.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
Also, that was a weird noise. My house is haunted, so that's okay. So serious.
No, you good. I mean, you in New Orleans, so I'm not surprised at all. But to close this out, I wanted to give a quick quote that I found. Now, I don't remember who actually said it, but it was definitely one of these Black artists out here doing their thing. But this person says, that is our duty as people. The art can be any creative or an imaginative activity that you like. The point is not what you do, but how you express yourself in the process, and allow us to escape into that trapdoor with you. The art you create is an escape for everybody who comes into contact with it. And that is one of the best forms of life-changing usefulness I can ever think of. Use art as a powerful escape, and make your own art for others to experience and be transformed by. This is the cycle of life too. And I was like, I do too. I said, oh, quote it, put it in there.
That hits.
Yeah, I just think it's so important as artists that we understand that art should not be. Some people make art to just make money, and you could tell by the way that it's produced.
Absolutely.
And sometimes you hear when people make art and it's literally just for them, or just to like, it's for them, you know? And then everybody else gets to just witness it in a way. And it's not for gain, it's not for money. I mean, they may make money off of it, but like, you know, like the intent of that song was for them. It wasn't for everybody else. It was for them.
Yeah.
So I stress for my Black creatives out there, my Black artists, my Black creative revolutionary artists, whatever you want to call yourself. I say, if you're going to produce something, wait until you are ready. You don't have to be making videos and creating paintings and music until you are ready. Wait until your body says, okay, I'm ready to create now. And until then, live your life. Just find ways of just meditating, resting. Resting is a part of it. You gotta rest before you can create.
And I would say, stop comparing your art to other people's art as well. That is so harmful.
It
because it's
is.
never going to be the same, and it only adds on to a host of other
Absolutely.
issues you will already have in life.
Yeah, that's really hard. And especially like
It
with the
is.
saturatedness, if that's a word, on social media, because like you just get hit with it every day.
Yeah.
And it's okay not to be creating anything. You're still an artist. You're still an artist even if you haven't produced anything in like 20, 30 years. You're still an artist. You'll never, like, an artist is always an artist. Shoot. Well, y'all, man, I really, I feel like that was like a great, like, that really, like, really brought, I'm like talking to y'all, but I'm definitely talking to myself too. Like, I'm definitely gonna make, like, I'm gonna go back and listen to this and I'm gonna be like, I need to listen to this for myself. So what do you feel like you learned with your self-awareness right now within this whole discussion, Chloe?
Wait, say that one more time.
So how did, well, I should guess, I guess I can say, how does your self-awareness that you have had currently in your life, how does it help others receive the intention behind what you produce, your artistry?
I think honestly, it's all in the honesty. For a long time, I really suppressed a lot of my emotions. Like I have had to do a lot of personal work to unlearn emotional suppression a lot. And so I think that through me creating music, writing things that are emotionally vulnerable and expressing myself and actually stating my feelings, which is something that I was really scared to do growing up. I feel like that, like just having that bit of self-awareness now, like knowing that I did suppress things. I was like heading toward being a hot air balloon that explodes if I kept, not expressing myself. I feel like, oh, I just completely lost what the question was in the middle of talking.
It's okay. No, it happens. I do the same thing.
Oh,
I was just asking, like, how does it help others receive your
oh,
artistry?
right. Exactly. Okay. Yeah, I just feel like if I'm being honest, other people will be able to tell that and they'll be able to take it for what it is, and not be too worried about coming up with their own conceptions of what I'm saying. Like I do my best to not be as plain as possible because sometimes I just use nonsense to express how I feel, but the intent is there, the emotion is there, and I feel like that just me knowing that on my own and knowing that what I'm writing is honest, I feel like that comes through and that is what helps people be able to connect.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. I love that. And y'all need to definitely check Chloe out, but I'm not going to give the information on like how you can listen to her. I want her to explain it. So, can you give the audience your socials or anything that you would like them to follow you on?
Yeah, sure. So you can follow me on Instagram, Facebook. Please don't ever follow me on Twitter unless you're trying to get the other side of Chloe.
Hey.
Facebook and Instagram. Chloe Marie, you'll see Chloe. Chloe, easy to spell. But also, I have a band called Alabaster Stag, and you can look us up as well on Facebook, Instagram, Spotify. I also have my solo music on Spotify as well, and it's all under the same name. So yeah, Chloe Marie, Facebook, Instagram, Alabaster Stag, Facebook, Instagram, all of that, and on Spotify. We're on Apple Music, pretty much any streaming thing you have.
Awesome. Lit. Well, thank you so much, Chloe. If
Thank
y'all
you for
enjoyed,
having me.
you're welcome. If y'all enjoyed this episode, share it with your friends. And if you're on Apple Podcasts, give the Self-Aware Millennial a nice review with some 5-star decor. So TSAM, as y'all know, is striving to function and grow as far from the capitalist structure as possible. As y'all know, I really don't want this podcast to be anything like any other company I've ever worked for. That's why I have it. If you want to support my efforts in achieving this, please consider supporting me on Patreon, where you will find raw footage, bonus content, and full exclusive releases of the episodes that you've been hearing the previews for at the end of each episode. And that is www.patreon.com/the-self-aware-millennial. I will be posting at the end of this episode a 5-minute bonus preview of one of my conversations that I've had on Patreon, so y'all can check it out. I also want to just quickly say that I got invited to Clubhouse, which is like basically like the fast food version of podcasting, and I am absolutely loving it. I've only been on there for like 1 day, but if you are on Clubhouse, I really want to connect with you. I just want to start having conversations about all kinds of stuff. So I'm J.Mix Explains It All on there, just like my Instagram handle, and I would love to hear you and talk to you and just like vibe with people, because like it's literally the coolest thing. Chloe, you gotta definitely check it out. I still have one like an invite left, but I'm just not sure who I'm going to give it to just yet. But it's like literally exclusive, because like not everybody can get to it. Like you can sign up and wait for somebody to invite you in, but until then, like you have to wait for someone to be like, oh, I'm gonna invite this person in. So you have to just know people who are in already. It's really exclusive. I love it.
Real Clubhouse. Okay.
Yeah. Well, anyway, thank you so much, Chloe. Thank you. Thank y'all for coming and listening to another episode of the Self-Aware Millennial. Again, enjoy the bonus clip from my Patreon in this next clip. I hope y'all have a great week, and I will see y'all next week. Bye.